The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
He drinks, he smokes, he cuts, he swears, he tells bad jokes, and he rolls, and he rides. He lives like that, and he loves to fight. He's a loser, a loser. He calls me up when he's had too much. He's a schemer, a dreamer. But I tell him to change his ways. He just turns to me and says, I ain't no quitter. I ain't giving up on him just yet. 'Cause I'm in a different outside girl, yeah. No, he won't quit, but you get that sticking to it. I ain't no quitter. He chews, and he spits, he flirts too much, and he loves blonde chicks. And he's drunk, and he strolls, and he looks so cool, and he knows he's a beauty, a cutie. He's riding rocks, and the girls say flock. He's afflicted, addicted. I tell him to change his ways. He just turns to me and says, I ain't no quitter.
I ain't no quitter. That was a little bit synced up with the Mindset Mastery podcast. For those of you who'd listened to it, maybe you caught that a little bit. Yes, Beta did. No IQ level. I love it. No I quit level. All right. So no, I've been working all day and actually got a little tiny trade in. I have not had time to play with the monitors because I don't want to take a chance on making it worse, and I just haven't had time to do any of that stuff yet. Well, thank you. Yes. How's everybody doing today? Saw some of you this morning, and we're here today. Everybody have a good weekend coming in. So we're pushing the, where are we? You Aussies are just getting up, right? It's early in your morning. Is that what it is? I don't have my clocks up here. 8 a.m. Okay, 7 a.m. Depends on where you are, right? Awesome. Rained. So you guys are fall transitioning into winter, huh? Or summer getting ready to transition to fall, I guess. Yeah. Getting crisp, cooling down. Awesome sauce. All right. So I've got, don't have a lot today, but I do want to go over a couple things. So we have I did manage to move the ink to go bar and get it sized. It was about a third of the screen wide and 2 screens long. So I don't know what happened to it, but it was doing its own thing. Yeah, there were some posts. Yeah. Let me see if I can do something real quick. And find something. I was going to share it. A few of you might have seen it. Hold on, let me find it. You'll get a kick out of this. Actually, you won't. Hold on. There it is. Can I get it up? So I was actually during the OCR this morning, my Tab 29 group, and Dallas comes running downstairs laughing. Oh, well, I can't do it that way. Come across from this screen. And he's like, you want to see something funny? And I said, yeah. And he said, I said, oh my God, where'd you get that? He goes, it's your account. Anyway, it was kind of funny. That's a broker issue. As soon as we cleared the screen, it went, yeah. It's only funny once you knew it was a glitch, right? But anyway, I thought I'd share that just for fun. All right, that's my joke of the day, right there. Yeah. I was like, I put it to one group and I said, Dave said to use, 10 lots instead of 0.01. Anyway. All right. So let's look at this scan. Before I start talking about staplers and stuff. Just going to see if you were there, Mackenzie. All right. So we've got, as you can tell from this scan, we got some movement coming up. And so we can, but it bends, it's not a straight. In other words, you want to get your eyes kind of tuned into what's going on. We can see there's, like something in here going on, but then it bends, and so you want to look at where the bend is, because always a good place to draw a pitchfork, right? So I can look at this and there's no good swings that are big enough that would encompass everything. The only thing I would look at just at the beginning would be a swing here, but I can tell, again, just naked on the eyes here, naked on the chart with just the plain old eyes, that anything in there would take this, if I did a reverse fork, it's just not going to help me, if that makes sense. All right, nothing going to help me. So back to the drawing board. We can't do a CD because the D's not there. Price is just leaving the C, maybe, right? We can do an XA. It can be awfully steep, pointing down, So maybe we just do a BS, but rather than try and make it a ghost fork, just make it a pitchfork and see what we got. Alright, I'm going to take the warning lines off for now. Just stay with my fork. So, lots to play with here, right? I could use it and tag the A. Just a little bit off in terms of it doesn't quite catch that bounce on the blue candle in the, after that big run up. Just misses it, just overextends it. And, we can make a couple of different median hits and maybe something happened there. So you can play with this. So what's, this fork or this, there's a lot of data here already. And it's kind of, you can maybe go in for a smaller alignment using the AB going back, but we're looking for something that we can continue to use. So AB isn't going to really, unless we have a traditional fork, AB isn't going to give us anything. And again, I'm not real prone to doing AB. I'm purist to Charlie Delta, X-ray Alpha, or a BS. And so we're going to do something that, I tell most people to avoid. At least I think we are. So you have to determine what you're trying to do here. We know price should go down to the D. We want to navigate some of price action on its way. So if we have a good fork, we can do that, right? And again, I can draw the XA and, go to C with it and just have a steep pointing fork. But I can't do much else with it because it's going to be, for one, it's going to be really hellaciously wide. And I'm going to need more validation, and we're just leaving the C. So I want to use something historically because that'll give me something potentially more tradable. So let's go back to basics with pitchforks and what our objective is. So the main difference between a traditional and a best fit is the best fit we have to have validation. The tradition, as soon as we draw it, it's tradable. Best fits, we need some alignment points, and sometimes in a case like this, there's all sorts of different alignment points. So you look at this and you go, if I try and align stuff on the bottom, I'm going to take my magnet tool off here if I'm swinging a median. Yeah, I could come back here and come to this point here, make it a swing low, but no, that's kind of way too steep. I don't have any points in here. Like I said, that's not too bad because that actually gives me the A and the B. The A on the top upper parallel and the B on a quad. And we do get a little bounce here. So that might be a possibility. Okay? Might be a possibility. But we're going to do something I don't think I've ever done in one of these sessions outside of teaching it. And I only do it on a very rare occasion. There's just a lot of data here, and there's a bunch of different configurations. So which one would you trust? If I could draw 5 different forks here using different touches, that doesn't help me trade. I don't mind if I have a fork where I've got good validations and then it breaches that, right? Because we know that can happen. And I'm going to end up, it's a 15-minute scan. I'm going to use up tab 29 or fast 33 to assist me with any trades that I make. But, there's just too much. There's no other good swings to use. This is the swing to use, period, end of story. So what we're going to do when we look at the swing high to swing low and we try and draw a traditional fork, it would look like that. And we go, that's just way too steep. So who remembers from the pitchfork course what you do when you have a traditional fork that's too steep? Besides quit and go to another, fork. Yeah. So it's a good time to try a shift. Now, for those that don't remember, a shift is you take the swing involved, in this case, the low to the high over here that you were trying to get the pitchfork on. In other words, we take this swing here. I have my low going to the swing high of the fork. I'm just going to move the fork like that for a second because I'm going to come over here and grab the Fibbo tool. And again, I do this, 1 in 500 trades maybe. I don't do a lot of shifts, all right? Because best fits normally accommodate a shift. The challenge here is there's too many best fit opportunities. So I either go to another scan, go to another pair, or I can try doing my shift. And I'm going to turn my magnet tool back on, he says, and try and get this over here. I'm going to come up here. And you got to put it on the candles. These aren't ones where you can just go and get the dotted line at the top to touch. You actually have to be on the candle. And the reason for that is you're going to use the line that the Fibbo draws. And let me make that brighter for you because you might not be able to see it. Now we could see it. So now I'm just going to pull my pitchfork back to take my magnet tool off. I'm going to pull my pitchfork to that trend line where it crosses 50%. And what we get when we do that is a super nice median hit. We got some hits down here. We got some hits in here. And then we have the B. The wick comes down and tags the B. Nope, the monitor isn't working. I'm just managed to get the ink to go working. So Now I have a fork that's tradable because it's like an Andrews fork. It's like a traditional fork. The nice thing about, you know, a shift, even though with this much data, I could swing it around enough to get this alignment, but as you saw, we got other touches too. And so we could have several forks here. So my normal strategy of saying don't worry about looking for modifieds, you know, because if you do a best fit, you'll find it with the best fit. Trouble is when we do a best fit here, we find 5, 6 different best fits. I don't understand the question, Mackenzie. That long blue run, was it a close on open above? Huh? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it looks kind of like, yeah, it kind of looks like it did. She's talking about this area down here, I think. Did it close on it and then take off? Well, your screen's blurry. My eyes are blurry. So if I saw your blurry screen with my blurry eyes, it might be perfect. Yeah, that's a beta. It's a shift pit. That's a shift line there. So you draw it from the swing low, the previous swing low that you would put the traditional fork on. And it's too steep, so you move to a shift. And you have to draw that line right on the candle wicks. You can't have it off like we can normally do a fibbo off to the side and just get the top and bottom lined up, because for dividing it for horizontal fibbos, the law of association says we don't have to be right on it. It's just a geometry. But for a shift, we have to have the trend line, because we're looking, this, you know, it uses the trend line between the high and the low. And so now you've got a fork that, you know, if we had had it on there from the beginning, you could have traded. We would have said, oh, it's too steep, let's flatten it out some, and we'd put a shift on there, and we're good to go. Now, the D, maybe my eyes are too blurred. I don't see a D. Yeah. Yeah, this, I can't tell. I really, yeah, it looks like the C is hitting it too. It's hitting the oct. What do you mean, can you use it the same way? Okay, go with your reverse fork if you're going to be obstinate. Can you ask why I normally don't connect your Fibbo tool just like you have here? Instead, you have it offset usually. Yeah, because I could see it better. It's easier if you know the high, rather than trying to get the left right it serves no purpose is the reason why. Because you have this line tool here, and I work better at just getting one element, not two. In other words, I can move this line up and down. If I know the high of that wick, I just move this line up and down, and I can match the high, so I know I'm at the level of the wick. If I'm trying to do that while I'm staying on the center of the wick, it's like it serves no purpose to be on the center of the wick for for everything else other than a shift. Yes, the shift is tradable from the moment you draw it, but again, the only time you do a shift is when you have an extremely steep fork. You don't just go hunting for it in normal situations, but it is an Andrews pitchfork and therefore is tradable as soon as you draw it. Yeah, you can, if you want to futz with the pitchfork tool, that's fine. I just, again, RAS, motor skills, I just like drawing the same fork, but whatever. Now, so the other thing we can do, just for full instructional purposes, yeah, this is only going to be good for the run out of C. I do eventually want to have a downward fork. Maybe. See, why is this still of utility to us? Well, it hasn't breached the bottom, but who cares? Let's say it breaches the bottom. Why is this of utility to us? No, it hasn't failed to scan. It could keep going down. It could breach the bottom of the fork and just continue on down the D. Because, well, you're close, Zane. You're close, Sonny. Because you can trust warning lines on a traditional fork much more than you can on a best fit. So now I've got it's a shift, but I can put warning lines on this and trust them more than I could. See, if I had a best fit there and I had any one of those 5 that I tried to force into a best fit and not know which one was the right one, I could be playing with this all day long as price moves down. Which is the best fit? Warning lines, blah, 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 just crazy. The XA is way too big. I wouldn't know which other dominant swing to call the downward trend. I assume the blue wick that breaches the fork and the A maybe, but that's still way too steep. Right? So yeah, so the warning line's on a traditional fork, and then, like I said, you have to consider a shift a traditional fork. Why'd I draw that vertical line on the low where I put the fibbo on? No, I'm asking. Very good, Stuart. Anybody else want to gander a guess? That's it. I don't know if Gus is the correct pronunciation. Yep, that's it, Ryan. Okay. Now, so what we're going to do, and this goes to the question, we're going to grab we want to look at the price. Well, we can do it another way. Let me just do it this way. Not try to make this overly complicated, but we'll just come down here to that 1111380, and I drop a line on that. So now I'm just going to grab my Fibbo tool and swing it to that intersection of the horizontal, and so my crosshair is right on that tool. Got to come up just a tad. Oh, had it. Now, well, look at that. What happened? I can move that out of the way now. There we go. Why am I not getting my lines? What am I doing? Who can help me? I've never drawn a straight up vertical on TradingView. I don't understand. Yeah, well, I don't want to move the Fibbo tool. That's the problem. Yeah, you think so? I thought about that, but it didn't look like it was given to me. Oh, wait, there we are. Yeah, thank you. That's the best way to do it. So, you can see we're just off a little. So the difference between the shift and the modified shift is here's the shift here, and the modified shift would be here. Okay. Yeah, well, I cranked up the non-transparency. So let's just move it and see what happens. Vertical line right there at the 50. Boom. And let's go back to our Fibbo and take that off. So we get the nice median hit here. Got a little pass and check on the way down here. Get the hit on the X. That's a good point. Still a good hit in here. I've personally maybe only used a modified shift, maybe it was in the earlier days of forks, maybe 2 or 3 times at the most. And generally, it's when there's less data and you see the shift is just missing it by a tad, and you move it to the modified shift and boom, you hit it. You know. So I think it just depends on one's preference. And let's just draw a little line so I don't have to bring the Fibbo levels back up. Just draw a little trend line on that to make sure I got it parallel. Oh yeah. And we'll make it just a tad smaller. It's too big. Now I can come down and bring that to the right there to that intersection. Okay. Oh heck. Can't win for losing. And people are dropping off. This is too much work. Alright, now I can take my Fibbo tool back to my swing high. So we can see now the difference between the two. There's that. And we come up to here for that. No. All right, good one. Be safe. So it's pretty simple. For a shift, you go to where you were trying to do the swing, in this case on an upward pointing fork, swing high to swing low. So we know a traditional fork would have to go back to the previous swing low. So this is our target. We do that, it's too steep. So then you draw a Fibbo. From the swing low, has to be wick to wick to there. And you find your 50% line, and you move the median up and down until you run through the intersection of the trend line of the Fibbo and the 50%. Oh, right there. That then becomes your shift. The modified shift is you create a vertical line. It's going to be the same distance from the swing low to the swing high. It's just there's nothing here. It's just the equivalent of the swing high, but just straight up on the vertical of the swing low candle, wherever it ends that high. And then you go to the 50% of that. Well, I said that, Ryan, because 90% of the time, when you do a best fit, you can go, aha, that's it. That's the best fit. And if it's the right fork and it should have been a shift, they will be one and the same. You will find the shift by drawing a best fit. It's just, and when you have the perfect best fit, when you have the best fit that you get the most hits on. It's just here, there was no opportunity to get one good best fit. They were all, I could create 4 or 5 or 6 forks that would have given me hits. Why? Because it's not worth the time. And there are instances where I have enough data where the shift isn't the right pitchfork. But I don't know that until I have enough data. See, the advantage of the shift is it can be drawn right away. But you don't just go and draw one. You have to have a reason to draw one, and it has to be because you're drawing a traditional right away, and the traditional channel is way too steep. So that's just trader's choice. If you want to draw, shifts and modified shifts, go ahead. I've just found 95, 98% of the time that when there's a singular best fit, you'll see it align with your shift or your modified shift. Yes, I did say it's a matter of trader expertise. So the question is, last week I was talking about the XAs, and the XA, where you use either the C or the D touch. And I was saying you don't need, the typical 3 points of validation. You already have one of them automatically because you're using the C or the D to create a touch. And I said, you really don't need more if you have your volume of forks, your VOF. Okay. Now I didn't just say you don't need it more. I said, if you have your volume of forks, and there are plenty of times where I'm going to want to see additional confirmation or validation. There are times where I will trust it because what? Maybe I see other things line up with harmonic wave convergence. Maybe I see some other things, right? Yes, Mackenzie, be nice. For your aspiring pitchfork drawer using the C or the D, I would say you need at least one other point of validation. Just try to see that wick. Whoops. All right. But now we've got that fork. So now, because it is a shift traditional, it's still considered a traditional, we could, if back on your trading view charts, you can start to populate, the warning lines. And then as price moves down, you have very reliable warning lines that you can now create energy points with. Stuff that's on the chart. So that could be horizontal support and resistance. That could be, Fibonacci, horizontal Fibonacci. What else is a benefit of having a traditional fork? Not that you can't do things with best fits, but again, when you have multiple best fits, it's this many. You either go to another scan, look, Holy Grail, it's just not worth it if it gets too complex. All right. Okay. Mackenzie had to go to the door because somebody was at the door, so we can talk about her now. Just stop the talk when she comes back to her room. So, what else can we do here that can help us? Oh, Mackenzie's back. Shh. Stop the talk. But Mackenzie, you just made a faux pas. You said Boy Scouts. There is no such thing in the USA anymore. They're just scouts. Because girls can now be part of the Boy Scouts. But I noticed the girls remain Girl Scouts. So what else can we do here? She assumed their gender. They look like boys. They were some male scouts. Okay. So what else? What else do we have? I know it is very sad, but hey, I'm not going to be politically incorrect right now. What is But I did. We walked out of this, a Target the other day, and there were some Girl Scouts set up, and I said, "Do you have any keto or gluten-free cookies?" The girl just looked up at her mom, like, "Mom." Although Pillsbury makes some really, 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 really good chocolate chip gluten-free cookies. I made some for Courtney a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, deer in the headlights stare. Exactly, Beta. All right, so what else do we got going for us here? We're talking about, let me get some of these warning lines off because we're going to have the Jimi Hendrix effect here with our lines if I don't. And I'm going to take the Fibbo off right now because we don't. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to clone that guy and pull him over just to be sure. Yikes, owie, I'm squinting so hard. Man, I'm telling you, I swear it's sticking to me. It's snapping. Ah, right. All right. Whew. There we go. Got some freedom there. What else do we got going for us? Because this is a shift fork. We talked about warning lines we could count on being a little better than if it was just a best fit. Good guess, Scott. But let's go with the fact that it's a particular kind of fork. It's more aligned as a traditional fork. Doesn't really matter, does it? It has to do with the swing that we're on. Trying to get a trick in here, and you guys won't fall for it. I didn't notice. Maybe. Got a question about the blue candle. Let me move this over. Yeah, it looks like it does, Mackenzie. So she noted the 125 warning line. Gold star for the Mac. No, we don't. I mean, you can do that. You can, because duplicating it and putting underneath is the same as warning lines, technically. So, I mean, I used to do that a lot because in the old days it was just easier to do that. What else we have going for us with a good swing? We had a whole bunch of swing choices. We picked this one. I picked this one because it kind of encompassed, there were no bigger swings, so it should be the one to work. Well, what else we have going for us is the fact that we can come back and do a fork fibbo. Of course, I don't have that populated on here. We can do a fork fibbo because we got the right swing. When you have the right swing, the fork fibbos are much more accurate. They're just, they are. So fork fibbos, no, that's it. It's fork fibbo. I can't because it's not populated. Well, I guess it is with their numbers, and I could just turn them on. And my mouse is off on some other screen doing its own thing. Is that the... Okay, here we go. So we just, go to your templates that you use. And yes, there can be fibbos inside the swing as well. In this kind of move, you'd want to pay real close attention to the swing low or, the one line right down in here. As a bounce, as a pass and check. What caught the B? Oh, the 68.5. Oh, 68.5, okay. So now you have some, because we have the right swing, we can, our fibbo lines are going to be pretty good. Our Fibonacci projections are the fork fibbo, the fork fibbo. We have a traditional fork, albeit a shift, so we can trust our warning lines pretty hard. So now, we actually have something that technically is pretty sound. I knew what you meant, Mackenzie. So now we got a fork that's pretty technically sound. We've got decent lines to work with. And we're good to go. Questions? So in the same sense that the Mindset Mastery was talking about reframing things, what is a pitchfork? I am new. What is a pitchfork? Now, see, the problem with the down fork here is the XA is going to be too wide, and the only other thing I'd trust would be this blue candle. None of these in here would interest me. We could probably make any one of these lows eventually work, but you know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just it's the structure of what's going on here that doesn't make me real happy with, you know, a downward fork. Now, that being said, swing low, swing high, back to previous high. Oh, let me turn my... Didn't grab it like that. So you catch the B. Real close. Looks like it. I would thin the lines out. Maybe the BC. Yeah, I wouldn't use the XA. It's just getting too big. But this might work. Now, so right now we've got a BC touch on that fork. So Tim kept wanting one pointing down. And that would be a good one to use. If price doesn't come down so steep and rapidly as it breaks, remember this D here is an artificial placement. They're just drawing it. It should be actually by the most current price. If I refresh my charts, maybe it would be. But the D is going to slide over. So it's not going to be as nearly as steep as it looks. At some point, you know. And now with all these colors, I can start to match stuff up, thank God. At some point, you know, the price may be over here. So it's not going to be as, it doesn't have to be as steep. It just depends on how many candles it's going to take. That's still the valid pattern, right? Yes, it is. Where the two forks cross is an energy pattern, an energy point, which is why you have a real strong impulsive bounce straight up from it. But what if this does flatten out some as it's coming down? You know? That's a traditional fork. It's validated from the start. They're both traditional forks. One's a modified, one's a traditional here. Swing low, swing high, back to the previous swing high. Oh yeah, that's correct. Nope, nope. What's wrong with that? Is Mackenzie the only one that caught that? Mackenzie's the only one that caught that. Mackenzie, you do get the gold star for the day. Yay, Mackenzie! And we were talking about her when she was gone, too. Oh my gosh. We can't use that swing because it's in the fork itself. It's nice that we used it. We can use it as a best fit, but that's not a true... Yeah, but you didn't know why it wasn't valid. So it just serves as a best fit. You got to touch on the quad. You got to touch on the upper parallel. It's just convenient that this touches it in reverse compliance. It's not a traditional fork in that sense, but pretty sharp best fit. Yeah, but that's, can we go back there and do anything? Man, we just miss it. Real close. Yeah, a couple of points then that make it interesting by going all the way back there. That's just not my kind of fork in terms of whatever, but you have a 1, 2, 3 hit. Purple, purple, purple. But I like the reach and I like that energy point. I like the best fit better for me, but that's trader's choice. Yeah, the handle can be a trend line. The median itself. Just can't quite get that hit in there at the last swing low. But you do get 3 points there. And I can't. It does look like you get it right here too. Looks like that wick ends right on the blue purple line. So maybe so. But then it has no problem, breaching it in this area. Comes down there. I still like that, creating an energy point with the best fit. Anyway. Yeah, it can go east, but remember, we're not going to see it go too far east. This would not be a bad set. It's going to be a deep one no matter what, Could end up looking like that. So I still think you're going to be inside the confines of that fork as price moves down and east. It's going to have to move pretty impulsively at some point. You can see them stretch out. We've seen them just right here today. Look in this thing. We've seen this thing go way east. So you never know. But maybe you're limited to two options now. This best fit and the traditional. So you can play with them both based on data points. But again, just, trader's choice. It depends on where you are in your progression. I think this is more, I like setting a fork, one fork, even a Charlie Delta X-Ray Alpha, and just having limited possibilities. Right now, we're early in the game for this C to D move. That's all we are. We're early in the game. And it's a little too early to try and force a trade. So we need a little bit more data. That's why it's a gap. It's just, yeah. What kind of data are you looking to happen to make it a good trade? I'm going to want the purple fork or the white fork to give me something. The white fork we like. It's tradable. It's a tradition. It's a traditional. So we've got a fork we can trade. So warning lines and fork fibos creating energy points would be the optimal. You can use INS lines. You select the broker feed when you select the currency pair. I don't have INS lines on the scanner, Tim. Only on my charts. All right. So, forexharmonicpatterns.com to get this scanner. Wednesday, we're going to come back and look at small scans again, our shorter term scans. Try and move a few over to our TradingView chart so we can see. Yeah, I know. It is sometimes you forget because this particular scanner has so many of the TradingView tools, sometimes you forget which set of charts you're on. I agree with you. Okay, Mackenzie went to the door again, so when she comes back, just pretend I'm talking to you all, but y'all just ignore this. So I'm just going to say it so Mackenzie hears it. All right, so here's our homework for Wednesday. You need to draw 150 forks at the 10-minute level. And post them in the group. Yeah, just 150. Well, let's make it good. 150 modified forks. Yeah, modified Schiff. What are INS lines? INS lines are a set of intraday support and resistance that you can get by going to your TradingView charts and going to indicators and search and look for PC dash, what is it, PSR? I can't show you here because this isn't the TradingView charts. Yes. So everybody draw 150 pitchforks, and Mackenzie said she wanted to help the other day, so just tag Mackenzie to your forks. Just tag her as the admin. Good idea. That was Chuck. I know. I know. I just sensed that about Mackenzie. I'm gonna pay for this at some point. All right. So anyway, good exercise here, doing a little chart setup work. Well, look, guys. Oh, let me finish here. So I was started to say, and it was either Mackenzie going to the door or Dallas leaving. I'm not sure which it was. I got distracted somewhere. So the thing about Trader's Mindset Mastery this week is framing things. And so what you need to start working on is not allowing your RAS, not allowing your thinking to make you a lazy trader in your training progression because you don't have big money on the line. I'm not talking about fake it till you make it because, you know, the jury's out on that as a strategy. But I'm talking about trading the way you would as if you had $100,000 in the bank. Trading the way you will when you have $100,000 in the bank, when you have $200,000 in the bank. So, you know, from our high in here, we dropped off about 12 people, which is, you know, not exceptionally high based on the number we had in here, but it's still 12 people. So where people get burned out on this is, oh, that's so much work. That's just so much work. I'll think I'll trade 3 pips with a 30 pip stop loss, you know. So you have to start looking at this like, if I do a setup and I spend, 45 minutes to a setup and it gives me a power. See, we're going to have a pretty impulsive move here at some point, aren't we? If that's a 2-wave, we could have a pretty strong move to a 3. Some of you who are good could measure that out, do a projection, and just go see where 1618 of the A-B move is. One 618, 2 618, 3 618, right? So yeah, they can go do construction. Nothing wrong with construction workers. I didn't say that. But, if you make your, on this kind of move, if you make 20 pips, these aren't huge channels, are they? How big a channel we have here on this chart? It's 15-minute chart. Yeah, 10 pip channels. So do we need a 10 pip stop loss? If you feel comfortable with it, fine. 5 pips is about the difference, about little tighter, of a quad to an octline, right? Just a little bit less than that, but real close, right? Yeah, better do 30, 35. So we don't need, if you're comfortable with your trade, which is why we want to take the time doing the setups, it's why we want to be comfortable with the fork, it's why we want to be able to trust it, it's why we have harmonic wave convergence to give us the nod. So we can get in there with a tighter stop loss. So if you had a 5 pip stop loss and you went and made 20 pips, what's your return on account? If you can't do this, Zoe's first up. Mackenzie right behind her. 8%, right? 2% to a 5 pip stop loss and you go 20 pips, that's 5 units of 2%, 4 units of 2%, so 8%. Yeah, I know. So 8%. If you had $100,000 in the bank, that's $8,000. Is a 45-minute time to do a setup to get $8,000 worth it? So, more time on setups, less time hunting for trades. Do good setups, do good technicals. You'll have a higher percentage of success, higher probability of trades, and then those trades will be successful. And you have to start shifting your mindset where some traders are going to look at this and go, that's so much work, right now, because they're getting nothing in return. They're framing it wrong. It's like, oh my, when I have just $100,000 in my bank and I get 20 pips, I'm going to have an 8% return. Show me a better way. Somebody could spend 45 minutes and make $8,000. I should be happy and grateful that I have this opportunity. Frame it right. Frame it right. Don't sit here and allow yourself to be negative because, oh, this takes time and, blah, 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 blah. You're not in the old paradigm. Your profits will grow faster as a new paradigm trader. So frame it right. Frame it like you have $100,000. Frame it like you have $200,000 in the bank in your account. So otherwise you're going to burn out. Otherwise you're going to convince yourself it's too much work. Otherwise you're going to be deep in the abyss of your mind. I like saying it that way. In the abyss of your mind, your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind, you're going to be doing what? Shiny object syndrome. You're going to be looking for easier ways where you can spend less time thinking you're going to make pips. So anybody, as I did that podcast early Saturday morning and converted it and got it up, and Saturday night I'm scrolling through IG and I find the Gary V video. So 1-2 punch, man. So if you watch Mindset Mastery, look in the comments down below. I've got a Gary V podcast IG movie in there, video. Again, those with sensitive ears need to be careful because he does drop a lot of F-bombs. Yeah, just a few. But, he adds to it. And he talks there a little bit about what I'm talking about now. Do the work. Do the work. Nobody wants to do the work. Oh, wow. Those with Hamilton connections, apparently Dave's going to release it tonight. Special session. So, do the work. Don't be looking for the result without doing the work. Watch that video. So listen to the Mindset Mastery podcast, the YouTube video, listen to it. And then listen to watch the Gary V video. It's only 2 or 3 minutes. There was a question here. I want to answer it before I cut off. If I'm practicing entries on the 15 and it moves 5 to 10 pips from the pitchfork before I get the green-red flip, the ESL is still 10 pips away from the pitchfork, right? No, you're not going to take that trade as a closed candle trade. So if you hadn't, this is why, again, you want a comfortable pitchfork. You want to see the convergence point. You want to see it on the 1-minute chart, but there's no way you're going to take a trade 10 pips into the not on a fork of this width. You're almost essentially going from the lower parallel to the to a quad line. This is why you would drop down to a 5-minute or 1-minute chart at the convergence point. You can't use trend bar flips on 10-minute charts and 15-minute charts. There's just way too much slush. It's kind of like the old paradigm inside the new paradigm. You have to get it down to a 5-minute, 1-minute trend bar flip. That's why I got to drop down. Now, these charts are good with visibility on. They're pretty good at dropping down. You can drop this down to a 5-minute chart and probably find, with the way these candles are moving and looking at the scale, you should probably, some of these candles aren't even that big dropping down in here. So, but you're going to need more detail. This is too jumbled up for trading purposes. You're going to have to spread that out, right? Yeah, so no. And again, this fork is narrow enough that you would only need a 5-pip stop loss. I wouldn't use 10. So essentially your ESL and MSL are pretty much the same 5-pip distance. Because You want to take advantage of the tightness. That's why we're here. Okay, we're going to end it here. Pop quiz. Why would somebody hesitate moving from a 10 pip stop loss to a 5 pip stop loss on a fork that has this kind of scale and distance? Why would somebody hesitate? Yeah, no, you don't want to wait too long. If you wait too long, get out of it. Yeah, so okay, so everybody got it. Right. You go, well, if I put 2% to a 5 pip stop loss and I get stopped out, oh my gosh, I'm out 2%. That's in 5 pips isn't a whole lot of distance and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, how many forks with this kind of width have you drawn where you've watched the bounce off a parallel once the fork's been proven or it's a traditional? How many times have you seen harmonic wave convergence with a bounce on the fork parallel and it go in your favor versus it going against you? That's KSP. So if you know you got an 85-90% chance of going 10, 15 pips, it should be a no-brainer to tighten your stop loss from 10 to 5 and get twice the profit. And that's why you don't trade forks you're unsure of. I don't care if you have a 50 pip stop loss. See, this is why old paradigm is so bad, because you have those big fat stop losses and it just baits you into feeling secure because you have all that slush area, all that space that price could meander. So you get what? It's just like the quote we did the other day, right? If you don't sacrifice now for what you want becomes the sacrifice, right? Everybody see that in Next Level Seekers? So here you are. The question was, why would somebody hesitate moving from a 10 pip stop loss to a 5 pip stop loss? In other words, from 2% to a 10 pip to 2% to a 5 pip. Why would they hesitate in doing that? It's because they don't have the KSP. So go back to that question and now frame that in terms of old paradigm traders who get comfort. Their comfort zone is the big fat stop because there's so much more leeway for price backing up on them. Right? Now think of the new paradigm trader. He's taking a little bit more risk. He's not allowing price to back up that much on him before he exits the trade. But what does the old paradigm trader sacrifice by not making the initial sacrifice? They're sacrificing profit. So you sacrifice now or you sacrifice later? The old paradigm trader doesn't sacrifice now. Let's play this safe. Let's play this comfortable. Let me have the big fat stop loss because I don't know what price is doing anyway. My indicators aren't that accurate. They're not real time, and I got to give it this 100 pips, 150 pips, 200 pips. And they're, it's just like, oh, laissez-faire. It pulls back 50 pips. Oh, it's okay. I got a 200 pip stop loss. But they sacrifice the profit later on because even when that trade goes, they just get a wee bit of profit. So if you've done your homework and you've done your volume of trades and you're not just trying to force a trade because, oh, this is the only fork I've drawn today, so I'm emotionally attached to it and therefore I got to trade it even if it's not good and the bounce isn't justified with harmonic wave convergence. But if you have a good fork and you have small scale here and you can go in with a 5 pip stop loss and still have, an oct outside as your stop loss, you're much tighter in that trade. And your KSP should say, it's okay to take this. I've seen these bounces too many times. But you're willing to sacrifice in the short term because that's how you get the reward at the end. If you don't sacrifice in the short term, you're just an old paradigm trader. And it feels good in the now. It feels good in the moment from the time the trade goes and you have that big fat stop loss. You feel so secure. Even though you're gambling because you don't know what the hell's going on. But you feel secure. Hey, if it pulls back 50 pips, I'm still okay. Hey, if it pulls back 100 pips, I'm still okay. Comfort zone. No sacrifice now. You're not going to get it later. The reward isn't going to come. It's one end or the other. That was the point of the quote. All right, I'm going to bug out. Don't want these to get too long on you. All right. I appreciate everybody that showed up today. Most everybody stayed. I like that. We didn't lose that many from the group that we had, the crowd that we had. So good. Get your buddies here. Get your buddies here. And, you know, if you guys want to see something, don't tell me at 4:55. But, you know, if you want to see something on Wednesday, hit me up with it Tuesday. Give me a compound question. Give me something good. I need to see this. I would like to see that. And I'll try and get it in. That's the benefit of live sessions, because then you can be there and ask more questions about it, and maybe it spurs questions in other people. But get your buddies here. Get the fun going. I mean, it's not like you're paying for this. All right, so I'll see you all Wednesday night. In the meantime, remember, life can be short, and sometimes even shorter than that. So, for the people you care and love, let them know you care and love them. I love you guys for carving out time and staying the whole 90 minutes tonight. And I will see you in Facebook land and on Wednesday. Y'all take care.